Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Aaliyah.
And I'm Julia Renee.
And I'm cracked out on caffeine right now.
Cracked out! And I am not affected in the slightest by the entire energy drink.
I'm telling you, do like a tolerance break because I went like a full month no caffeine and it sucked. And I had headaches and it was terrible.
A month?
Yes.
What?
But now when I do have like the occasional energy drink or
it
like
actually works.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, this is what caffeine's supposed to feel like. Like my mom used to always tell me she would take one sip of a Monster and be like, I'm like too jittery to function. And I was like, what do you mean? I gotta tell you
this story about my mom. She's gonna kill me.
Is it caffeine
She's
related?
Gonna kill me. My mom is the sweetest little baby angel that she doesn't drink coffee, no energy drinks, no tea, no nothing. So there was this like, I think it was I'm probably getting the story wrong, but there was this like hydration packet that she was going to find at a store. She accidentally got the one that had a little bit of caffeine. I'm telling you, it was probably like no more than like 100 milligrams. Yeah. And like 100 milligrams does nothing to me.
Yeah.
Like it's like getting hit in the head and you're like, I don't even feel that.
Because that's like the same as like a cup of coffee, right?
A cup of coffee is I think like 20 to 50.
Really?
It's cup of coffee is like very 100. Little. Hold on.
Oh, good to know. Well, my cup of coffee is like a large at like Dunkin'.
Let's see.
Which is like a good like 20 ounce coffee, not a cup.
How many does coffee have? Wow, all of that was spelled wrong. 80 to 100. What?
Told you. Julia's out here drinking 500 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh my goodness. Well, my whole life's a lie because I'm over here thinking it's 50.
Well, there's decaf coffee that has like lower, or it's supposed to be no, but odds are there's still traces of caffeine in it.
I mean, I just love the flavor. I like the experience.
Wait, so did she freak out?
Oh yeah, back to my mom. So my mom... Oh my God, I don't know if she's going to hate me. My mommy, if you're listening to this.
We love you over here.
And you're so adorable. But this is just like proof that like if you're not used to it, like it really affects you. So she's like calling my sister, like thinking that she's dying.
No.
And my sister like comes and she's like having like a panic attack and like freaking out.
Your
like
poor mama.
A lot of anxiety because she doesn't know that it has caffeine. My sister looks at it and she's like, Mom, there's caffeine in this. And my mom like literally never has it.
Same with my mom.
And people like me and my mom who are like, really wound up and like we're already like ready to go.
Yeah.
Like when we have caffeine, it's like, whoa, chill.
Yeah.
Chill. So she literally thought she was
so cute.
On the verge
also,
of dying.
on the note of your mom, our moms have never met, which is crazy to me. But I was just with my mom over the weekend. She like came in to help me pack. That's what I did. When you asked how my week and weekend was, I've just been packing. It's been insane. I have so much stuff. Anyway, I was trying to explain to her that like we were switched at birth and she like wasn't getting it.
Yeah, we were switched at birth.
And I was like, no, like her mom is like a sensitive, like sweet woman.
Gentle.
And my mom's like, really?
Like when she meets my mom, she's going to be like, what?
Like my mom has to tone it down a bit, I think.
Yes. And Kendall's mom is like me, where she's like very loud and like very, like she walks into a room. It's like she has arrived.
Yeah.
And my mom is very like, don't see me.
Yeah, which is
I'm
me.
going to hide.
Like we're very
I am not
switched
here.
at birth.
We were switched at birth.
Yeah, both amazing qualities, honestly.
I know.
I feel like together they would be like a super mom. Well, they're super moms anyway. An extra super mom.
Very true.
They combined.
Very, very true. Big facts.
Anyway, today's episode, 11/11. First off, make a wish. Hold on. I need to pause.
Also, I trained back yesterday.
Are you sore?
Dang, it really hurts. Oh, I'm only training upper body like rarely now because I'm doing Sunny Andrews' workout program, like I was telling you, which is also...
So good.
Go to my YouTube channel because I took you guys through one of the workouts.
I'm going to be watching that later.
The way that she trains is literally like one body part like a day. So, and only upper body like every other week.
So is it like just glutes?
Yeah,
just
so
hamstring?
It's like quads and glutes, hamstrings and abs, and glutes is like typically the way that it goes, but it's like it just keeps going.
Anything for her glutes,
it's like
really.
leg days all the time.
That's crazy.
And there's obviously like rest days in between, but like literally there's 1 week where it's all leg days and there's rest days, but no upper body. And then the next week is like, it's nuts. So
that's crazy.
This week was my
a lot of
upper
legs.
body.
Anyway, today's episode is talking all about comparing yourself to people on social media.
Stop doing it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah, like
Goodbye.
straight up, literally just what are you doing?
But also, we're hypocrites because we've done it too.
I still do.
I still do too.
And I think that's the point of making these. Like we talked about, I think we said it in last week's episode, every time we talk about a topic, it's usually us speaking to ourselves or to like the past version of ourselves. So I wish someone had told me these things, and that's why we're telling you now. Yeah. Anyway, there's a very famous quote that says, comparison is the thief of joy. And I wholeheartedly believe that. When you are comparing your life to anyone else's or circumstances to anyone else's, whether that's in real life or on social media, I feel like no matter what, it negatively impacts you. Like there's never a positive comparison. You can idolize people and look up to people, but as soon as you compare their lifestyle to yours, that instantly turns the situation negative.
Yeah, I feel like there's a balance between you're comparing yourself to someone and it's in a negative way, like you're never going to get there, you can never reach that, that's not you.
Yeah.
But then there's also a way that you can look at it if you have a mindset shift of where you look at them as like possibility.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen this to where I've had moments where I'll look at someone's like physique when I first started bodybuilding and I was like, I'll never be that, I can't do that. Yep. And then now everything that I've ever done is just useless and pointless and I'm the worst. Or you can look at them and saying like, this is like someone has done it, so it's possible.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there's a way to take inspiration and then there's a way to, I guess, degrade yourself or like downplay your own journey by overly idolizing this person. So I feel like it's just important to talk about. And I notice every time I do start caring about what other people are looking like or what other people are doing and all of these things, I derail myself from my own goals. Like I remember distinctly this one point in time where I was starting a prep for WBFF wellness. They had made their own wellness division because I thought I wasn't gonna ever be muscular enough for NPC wellness, and I thought I was too muscular for bikini now. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll try to find this in-between category. And I remember at this time I was like starting to cut, and I just started looking at all of these super petite built women and being like, did I take it too far? Am I too muscular now? Like just negatively comparing myself. And I literally just stopped my prep before I even really started. I was like a few weeks in because I just like was hating myself and my body and my physique for all this hard work I just put in because I didn't look like these people who had a completely different body type for myself. And it's just like crazy that you can really make it feel so real and make where they are on such a pedestal that you derail yourself from your own goals and everything you've been working towards.
That's true. I feel like that's very common, like in the fitness industry, where you can take that comparison where you're, you know, idolizing someone's physique or aspiring to look like them. You can take it to the point where you are so negative to yourself that you give up.
Yeah.
That you preemptively sabotage yourself before you even start. That's what you did. And I've definitely done that before where you get to that point where you're like, okay, that's never going to happen for me.
Yeah.
I can't ever get there. I don't have their circumstances, you know, I don't have their kind of life. I don't have their kind of money or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That you sabotage yourself before you even give yourself a shot.
I feel like it's almost a form of like self-harm because like I would literally screenshot these like certain girls' photos and like go back and forth of like my legs to theirs, my waist to theirs. And it's like, that's just so hurtful and harmful to your own mental health that like, first off, if you notice you're doing that, I feel like huge red flag. And like, if you're listening to this and like resonating even a tiny bit of like, yeah, sometimes I do like go to that one person's page a lot, or I like look up that one person a lot and I compare myself to their lifestyle or their body or their personality even. Like I've done that too, where I think I know someone's personality and I'm like, wow, they're so happy and outgoing. Like I wish I was like that. I'll never be like that. And it's like, we're just going to break down today a reminder that social media is fake as heck.
Everything is fake and we're all going to die.
Literally, like, but like at the end of the day, like social media is so curated and fake. And I feel like by listening to us, who are two people that do social media kind of as like part of our job.
We know because we've also done it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's easy to get to that point because I don't think that it ever comes, it might, you know, I don't think it ever comes from a malicious point. It comes from just a human response of wanting to be liked and loved and validated and seen, where you start to change and morph your personality into what you think people want you to see. But then ultimately you're walking around wearing a mask, and eventually the mask is going to get pulled off, because we've seen this happen a lot where like, that's why the phrase of never meet your heroes always happens, because there's people that meet celebrities, that meet influencers in real life, and they're nothing. They're nothing like they really are. And then it's like, wait, whoa. What curated version of this person was I seeing this whole time?
That's why I think it took me so many times of like, quote unquote, trying YouTube, posting on YouTube, deleting all my videos, doing that again and again. And it's because every single time I realized I wasn't being authentic, and it is exhausting being someone you're really not. And I remember like pulling up the camera and being like, hey, what's up, you guys? Today we're doing this. And like, I'm not a high energy person.
I have a headache.
Literally. I was like, who is this girl? That is not me. I used to do 100 takes because I felt like my energy wasn't high enough. And like this time around, going on YouTube with the idea, and I guess like, I don't know, proving to myself that I can just be authentically me has been so much fun, because I just get to set up the camera and just chill and
I can
talk.
just be me, and that's enough. And that's enough. And if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, bye.
I feel like YouTube is probably the best source of who people actually are, because it is longer form content. And again, people can be super fake on there. I feel like every year at least one huge YouTuber gets canceled because we realize like who they really are as a human, and that their morals are bad and all of these things that they've done. But in the grand scheme of like all of the social media platforms, I do feel like YouTube is like the most real out of them.
Well, people get so connected to people on YouTube, like genuinely. And there's been like instances where people stalk YouTubers because you do get to see a very raw and real version of their life. Like, you know their dogs' names, like, you know their favorite color, you know things that they hate, things that they don't like, you know what the inside of their house looks like. It's very like real and one-to-one. Like you've seen them maybe like without their makeup on at their worst, and you get so connected to this person that you're watching from the screen, and you only hope that that's who they really are. You know, because you become like friends with them. You know, I have podcasts that I listen to. I have YouTube channels that I watch where I'm like, I feel like I'm their friend.
Literally.
I'm like, we're besties. They don't even know.
And I like follow them, some of them on like Instagram too. And I'm like, oh, I know, like she's so proud of this moment that she got this. And I'm like, she has no clue who I am, which is hilarious. But yeah, you feel this connection, and like, hopefully you feel that with here on the pod. And I'd like to think that we're always 100% ourselves on YouTube, where I feel like the fakeness comes in, and this is for literally everyone, is on platforms like Instagram. So that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about. Is it's kind of the obvious reason of why you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. And it's because the person you're comparing yourself to isn't even real.
They don't exist.
And I'm going to expose myself gladly, because I feel like I've showed my process of taking photos online, maybe not start to finish, but like you guys get it if you follow me on YouTube and like even the podcast. I feel like I've talked about it. I'm going to just take you through the process of what posting one Instagram photo looks like, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is going to, enlighten some of you who don't do social media as a living, or don't do social media seriously at all.
This is it for Kendall and me also.
And I was going to add it at the end. This is it for 90% of the photos you see on the internet. The computer just made
the
sound.
Computer went blue, blue, blue.
Okay, so if I plan in the morning, okay, I'm going to do a photo shoot. First, I do my hair, and then I do my makeup, and I usually put on like some sort of self-tanner because I'm naturally very pale, and I feel like it doesn't show up as well in photos, especially if I'm trying to show like more of my like muscle lines. I feel like they come out a lot more if I have self-tanner on. And then I will try on multiple different outfits until I find the one that flatters my body the most. Obviously, we want to look and feel our best if we're doing a photo shoot. And then what's next? I have like 10 orders here. Then I find my location, and that location's typically the best lighting I can find. Okay, so still, I just finally tried on like 5 different outfits, found the one where my body looks the best. Now let's try 5 different lighting options. Okay, side lighting, like bringing my abs out, bringing these lines out. Okay, no, it's not today. Let's do like some more front lighting. And then after I finally find my outfit, my hair and makeup is done, my tan is on, and then now I had to find my pose. And I might do like 5 to 10 different poses.
Oh, the pose. We gotta find the pose.
And in this, I'm taking like maybe like self-timer photos where it takes 5. And in each one, I'll like twist or flex ever so slightly. And then I'll look at them back and I'll go, okay, I hate all of those.
Okay, maybe I should twist more here, see less here.
Yep.
You know, and then we go back.
So I'll delete all those 5 and then I'll do it again and again and again. And we have taken like
bajillions,
thousands of photos in one setting. And trust me, you guys would laugh at us and we laugh at ourselves, and we've gotten a lot better. I'm really proud of us.
Yeah.
We used to look at the photos back and be like, I look awful. I look this, I look that. Why does my skin look like that? Why does my midsection look like that? Just all of these negative comments. And then we go through these 1,000 photos and we pick our favorite one, or I'll speak for myself. I'll pick my favorite one.
We favorite which ones we like, and then I delete the rest of them now. So now I only focus on those like 10 that I favored or whatever.
And then from there, you narrow it down to 1. And then you take that one and you go and you adjust the lighting until it brings out your muscle even more and your skin even more. And then you change the coloring so you look a little tanner still. And then you change the sharpness so that like everything's kind of popping. How exhausting does that sound?
Yeah.
Extremely.
Yep.
Extremely exhausting. In almost every photo, I can guarantee. Of course, there are people out there who do those like reality versus Instagram photos, and that's when they're showing more of their true selves. But most people's Instagram page, we're not walking around how we look on Instagram. We're not like constantly sucked in and twisted and posed with perfect lighting, and my hair and makeup is always done and my tanner's always on. Like 99.9% of the time, I don't look like that. It is the most perfect version of myself. And that's what I'm trying to make it. That's what so many people on Instagram are trying to post their best photo. No one's gonna go through their photos and be like, I look the worst here. Let's post this one. Like that's just not how social media is. Social media is a curated fake version of ourselves. And I'm not saying that like Julia doesn't look how she does in her photos. Okay. Like you're still beautiful. You're still in the same exact shape, but she's not walking around with a pump.
Yeah. I'm not walking around with my pump, like flexing my quads all the time.
It'd be weird
like,
if you were.
I mean, sometimes when I walk past a guy, I'm like,
you do be flexing them quads.
It's more so because I'm like, what's up?
Yeah. So it's just, you have to remember, like when you see, I've definitely seen photos where I'm like, oh my gosh, that girl's waist is non-existent. And then you have to dissect of, okay, she's at the gym. She just got a glute pump, so that ratio looks huge. She's also twisting and sucking in this photo. Like just those little things where it's so easy to forget that these people are not constantly walking around like that.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to compare yourself. And I got this way a lot. Again, like I feel like I'm a naturally, not like thick person, but I'm not like petite. Like I got big wrists, I got big knees. Like
You're
I'm
an Amazon woman.
I'm just like a bigger human being. And I, for a long time, would compare myself to these really petite people, not knowing that they were really petite people. Like sometimes I would see someone and be like, oh, I think she's my height. I think like my body could look like that. And in reality, she's like 6 inches shorter than me and just a completely different build. And it's just really, I understand how hard it is to not compare yourself, but I feel like just like even hearing that long ass process that goes behind a single photo is proof enough of like, how exhausting.
Yeah, yeah. And like it used to be, I think a lot like worse for me. Like this step process was so much longer, but now it's like, I don't care as much. Like I really don't care as much. Like the other day, like one of my most recent photos that I posted on Instagram that Ian took of me, he did it in the mirror. I was posing in the mirror. We did a front one and then like a glute one. And we took a couple of like shots and then we finally found like the good light. And we were like, okay, this is the one. Let's do this. I looked at them and I was like, good, cool.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, look at them and be like, no, like this is off. My shirt is rolled in, or you can see my little back roll or whatever. And I used to really focus on that. And now I'm like, I just care a lot less.
I do too.
And that's one of my things that I'm working on is giving less fucks because I give way too many fucks to where sometimes it hinders me, like the over perfection, the need to have so much control.
Yeah.
It affects me more negatively than positively. So this year I'm like, I'm just gonna give a little less more fucks. Like I'm not gonna give so many fucks because it's so much better on my mental health.
Yeah, because again, it's exhausting trying to like uphold this like image of yourself. And I feel like, I don't know if you're this way, but I feel like I was, because I'm kind of the same where now I'm trying to post more videos because they're so much easier and I don't have to care so much about, is this image perfect? I'm like, oh, here's just a video of me posing. Like instead of taking a snippet of that, I'm like posting the whole thing, which is, it's also just more fun, to be honest. And then again, you're not sitting there like zooming in being like, that pore is wrong. It's like, it's a video, who cares? I feel like I used to care so much because I was still comparing myself to other influencers and being like, oh, well, they look this way, or they have this like certain engagement because they look this way. So I need to do the same like pose or same like lighting or whatever. So I don't know if you were ever that way, but I think I was still subconsciously comparing myself to other people on social media and feeling like I had to give the same perfect curated images as they did.
That's true. That is true. I was thinking about that like last night where I was like, oh my God, I should change my entire feed and everything to look like more like this person's and blah, blah, blah. Like just, you know, when you're a girl and at night and you have an idea of like reorganizing your whole closet all of a sudden. And it was like kind of that thing where I was like, I need to just like redo everything. I was like, no, that's too much. No, like it's too much work.
Unnecessary.
It's not me. Like I'm not going to do that. But in the past I would have.
Yeah.
Like I would have just like recreated like my whole thing, which is not really me. And one thing that I wanted to mention, at least on this topic, what were we just talking about? Oh, even going as far as the editing of the photos and stuff like that, people go, like if you follow Goob on Instagram, he blew up because he exposed people for editing their photos and stuff like that. But, and I don't want to say this in like a negative way of like talking down to the people that do edit their waists or make their glutes look bigger, because we've all done like silly things to make ourselves feel a little bit more confident, you know? And one thing that you have to realize too is that some of these photos are edited. Like their glutes are bigger, their waist is brought in. You never really know. Goob has shows. Like honestly, like I am not that good with like editing and knowing things that I would see it and I believe it. Like I'm like,
that's true.
Her waist, she has no ribs. Yeah, her ribs,
are gone.
Her ribs are gone. Yeah, I would just believe it.
One of my favorite podcasts, if any of you listen to this, you're such a real one because it is like so unserious, but it's called Canceled by Tana Mojo, who's a huge YouTuber and like has been through so many scandals. And I always respect it because she is always so honest. And she'll be like, yeah, I face-tuned my entire face in that photo. Like I did not look like that at all. And like, at least she's being authentic with that. But even those like Instagram models that like, I feel like all of us follow a couple of them where it's not even fitness people. They will change their whole face. They'll change their whole background. They'll be like at like a Galveston beach where it's, I've done this. Hold on, I'll share. I've gone and done like a little photo shoot on Galveston Beach because my boyfriend's family lives there. The water's brown sometimes.
Oh, that's brown.
And I've definitely gone in and made it look nice and blue. And it's like, that is very inaccurate to what Galveston is, because in my eyes, I was like, I feel like being a photographer too, like changes how I do things a little differently. But I was like, oh, it just makes the composition look a lot prettier because it was like a bright day, brown water looks kind of gross. But some people will completely change their location or where they are. They'll tag a location, they're not even there.
Where they edited put themselves like in front of the Eiffel Tower.
And they weren't.
They were
front
like,
of the Eiffel
I think
Tower.
they were sitting in like a cafe, like eating or something like that. And they changed the background
That's
completely
crazy.
to be that they were eating in Paris.
Yeah.
And it was
and now
so funny.
Photoshop AI tools make things like that so easy, and you could like completely change like the color of something you're wearing or the whole background and just all of these things. And yeah, like editing your face, editing your body, editing your hair, even like I've edited my hair in photos, and it's like no one cares, but like people go to that extent of changing who they are and what they do and what they look like to just have a social media presence. So just, huge reminder, it is all fake.
Yeah.
All fake. Even if someone doesn't edit their photos, it is still a curated image. It is not them just like hanging out with their rolls out. They are sucking in, they are moving, they're flexing. Again, there's those like outlying profiles where there are women and men out there that show like very authentic versions of their body. And I feel like there needs to be more of that because it makes it feel more like a safe space instead of this like too perfect, weird area.
We live in an AI world.
Yes, literally.
They actually have AI accounts now too.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's like AI, there's AI OnlyFans now. Have you heard of that? Where like now you can like quote unquote call with creators and it's fully fake. Like the creator's not there.
What?
They're not on the other end. Yeah, like that's a new thing that they're working on. Again, I got that from Tana Mojo.
That's
she does it.
crazy.
Yeah, so they're like developing all that. The second thing, the second thing to, I guess, open your eyes to is altered lifestyles. So I was talking a little bit about like editing the water to be more blue, right? But something to consider is like we went to Costa Rica in what, like June, July?
Yeah.
Maybe.
One of those.
Yeah. And I still have photos from that trip that I never posted that I love and I might post one day. And so if you're just someone scrolling through my feed, it's like, whoa, she is always traveling. She's always in these exotic places. It's always warm where she is. Like, how is she always in a bikini? Like all of these things. Oh, she's also always stage lean. That's crazy. That's another thing where I see it come up with like, oh my gosh, this girl's been in like prep shape for 9 months, right? And it's like, no, people just use old photos sometimes. Sometimes I will post a photo from a trip where I'm in a bikini and I had abs at the time while I'm like snacking on my couch. So just a reminder that like lifestyle wise, it's not all accurate. Like I'm just exposing myself this video because I feel like if you want any proof, like I feel like coming from me, it's proof enough. And I'm not even like a huge creator. So just imagine what these people that are on like private jets do, right? Have you seen those?
There was one that I saw where a girl edited that she was in a private jet too.
There's a room in LA that you can rent out that is like a staged private jet.
I think that's what it was. And in the photo you can see like the set stuff.
The wall, the lights.
The set in the background. Oh my God, that's crazy.
But like, that's like on such a big scale, but even on a smaller scale, like I've posed with my boyfriend's car before and people might see that and be like, oh wow, she has this like super nice car. And it's like, no, I drive a little SUV out there, but I love the car. I wanted the photo. He had just bought it, right?
I mean, people even like rent cars to drive around or do for photo shoots. Like that's the thing. Like you could do that.
I forget the guy's name, but there's actually been multiple of them. Dan Bilzerian. I've met him, which is so random.
Oh my God, yeah.
My client's like friends with him.
Yeah, the bearded guy. Yeah.
And his like climb to fame on social media was all these hot girls in his photos and all of these yachts and private jets and Lamborghinis and all of these very flashy things. And a lot of guys were like, oh, I want that. So they all start following him. And then he came out in like recenter interviews and said, yes, those things are real now. But in the beginning, I would like pay these girls to be in my photos, or I would rent out this set or rent out these cars, or it was my friend's cars. Yeah. Like, and I'm pretty sure, so don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he did admit to a lot of it being fake in the beginning, or people have just dug and found out it was fake. I really don't know. And now he has like some like 20 million followers. And if you didn't know that that was how it was in the beginning, you would think this guy was just like born into wealth or like must be the most successful businessman that there is. And in reality, you can create such a false narrative on Instagram or on YouTube or even, or like whatever it is. I just feel like it's so easy to be fake. Like if someone
can make up whatever life you want.
Yeah, if someone wants to be portrayed a certain way, they could very easily do that. Which is crazy. And I feel like I see this a little bit in the bodybuilding world as someone who, and we talked a little bit about this last episode, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. Where bodybuilding, I feel like, is more real and authentic now, especially with people like Sam Sulek who show like all sides of it. And like, I feel like we're moving in that way. But in the beginning, as like a teenager watching these like first round of like social media bodybuilders just showing the results and just showing this lean physique and not showing all the suffering and dedication and hours of cardio and hunger and sometimes crying over things to get there, it looks like it's so easy. And it's like, oh, anyone can step on stage. It's just like, you just need to eat a little less. And in reality, the sport is so challenging and can become dangerous. And when people don't talk about either like the precautions they took or the steroids they're taking or all these things that are behind the scenes, I feel like it's really easy to view a bodybuilder's journey and be like, oh, that was so easy for them. Oh, they're always lean. Oh, they love themselves, right? Like they don't have body dysmorphia and all these things that now are finally being talked about. I feel like 5 years ago, it was kind of only the glamorous side being shown, at least in my opinion.
Especially if you like see like their before and then you see the after and you don't see like anything in between.
Or know how long it took.
Wait, like how do we get here? Like, how did we get here? So that's why YouTube is helpful too. And, you know, like people like Christian Guzman, there's a guy that I follow, like Anthony. I follow a lot of people that like take you through their prep journey because I do that on my YouTube channel. And it's really cool, like seeing all the stuff that goes into it. And I think that's why people love YouTube, is because you can see like the back end versus just an Instagram photo of like you shredded on stage and just like, wait, how did we get here?
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Exactly. And then you don't see all the hardship that comes with it. So I feel like it's really important, especially in this sport, to like watch more YouTube and take bodybuilding content that way and podcasts instead of just following these people on Instagram. Yeah, you can follow them on Instagram to follow their journey, but I think still seeing like the work that goes behind it is really important. And I love that, like, even in your content, like you always show your morning cardio. You're not like, oh, I just like am getting leaner by the day. Like you're showing what you're eating, you're showing the work you're putting in, and you also show that it's really hard. And you have those discussions of like, I needed to pull out of the show because of X, Y, and Z. And someone like Maddie Forberg, I always say her last name wrong. This year when she pulled out, did like a super long post on like why that was the decision to be made, instead of just being like, oh, I'm not doing the show, sorry guys. Like I feel like having those discussions and conversations and talking about mental and physical health is really important. So.
Yeah, because in that post, like she described why she did that, and her cortisol levels were like out of whack, and like, yeah, that's like, it's not good, it's not healthy, instead of just being like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And yeah, which honestly, like, you don't really owe that to anybody, but also it educates people on like, oh, okay, well, this could potentially be something that's unhealthy, you know what I mean? Which bodybuilding can be. So
yeah, I'm just glad those conversations are starting, and I feel like it's still so easy to see someone's results and immediately assume that they are just like naturally lean or naturally built that way or haven't put in all the work, right? So like I even remember being in prep and having really bad body dysmorphia, and I saw a girl on social media who was doing like a full day of eating, and it was like a lot of food compared to what I was eating in prep, which like a normal amount of food feels like a lot of food.
Why don't I do that?
And she was objectively leaner than me. And I immediately was like, there's no way. I know she didn't put in the work that I'm doing right now and whatever BS I was feeding myself, when in reality, if you clicked on her page, she was post-show. And it's like, it just took like that much effort. But sometimes we just have random people on like your For You page, and you don't know all of the work they're doing. And it's so easy to compare your lifestyle to theirs or like your results to theirs. So
that's very true. And I think that's one thing that happens with comparison is like, you see somebody on a social media or, you know, in real life or whatever, and you start making up like reasons and excuses and circumstances of why they are where they are and you're not there, to almost make yourself feel better about where you are. For example, like with the people that are at that goal that you want, it's easy to be like, well, they're genetically gifted, or, you know, they lose weight faster than me, they have more time than me, they have more money, more resources, they have this and this, but that might have not always been the case. Maybe they do now have those things, but maybe that's not always the case. And it's so easy to go ahead and do that, because then it makes us feel better and validates like, okay, well, I feel better now that I have done that, like spit venom at that person that doesn't, you know,
made assumptions
and that doesn't even know me. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, genetics does play a role. Like when I tell people who admire my quads, yes, there was a lot of hard work that went into building my quads, but I'm also very genetically gifted with my quads. I've always had big quads. Even when I was in wrestling, they were big. Like when I look back onto them now, I'm like, they were teeny tiny, but they were big in comparison to most of the girls that I had like around me. So there is occasions where people are really just genetically gifted and more prone to be leaner. Like I follow girls on social media that they always have abs. They always have abs. And what I used to say when I would look at them and compare myself to them, I would say, you know, you're never going to be like that. You know, they just can always be lean and you're always going to be like this and blah, 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 all of these negative words around it. But when really like, she's just genetically gifted, like with abs. Some girls have those abs that just always pop, you know what I mean? And I was like, and That's great. That's great for her.
She might hold body fat in her quads and look at your quads and be like, oh, I wish my quads would stay lean year round like that. She
might struggle with like putting on muscle. You know, like that's the thing. It's like when you're looking and judging yourself against people on social media, sometimes those people are also doing that to themselves
most of the time,
or looking at other people and being like, oh my God, like I wish I had a waist like that. I wish I had a life like that. You know, we're all doing it in some sort of way. And one thing that I learned about comparison is that if I am ever looking at somebody on social media and I ever start to feel envious of the thing that they have, whether it's a physique, it's money, it's something material, it's an experience they have, a relationship that they have, or anything like that, to me, that is my cue that I might actually also want that thing. And then I can either go into all these reason excuses of why that can't also be mine, or I can switch my mindset into saying, that can also happen for me.
Yeah. And then go and work towards it instead of sitting there being like, oh, they have it, I'll never have it. Or like, there's not room for both of us.
There's not room for both of us. Yeah. That's a big one too, is like that there's one fit girl, there's another fit girl, there's another bodybuilder. There's no room for me here too. Yeah. There's always room for you as well. There's so many people on this planet. Like we are in this bubble of the fitness space. So it seems like all these people that we're seeing is fitness people that are like buff and they do this and they do that. And that's not real. That's not the real world, you know?
Yeah, agreed. And that kind of reminds me of, or like goes into the last little section of this. And that's if you're someone trying to grow on social media and you're trying to like be an influencer or gain a presence and you constantly compare yourself to other people's followers or engagement or community. I feel like that is so common. I still notice thankfully don't do it now, but even up to a few months ago, I would like look at other people with like around my same followers and be like, oh, why do they get so many likes? Why do they get these brand partnerships? Why do they get X, Y, and Z without, again, like taking into account how long they've had their page, how long they've been working on it, how consistent they are, how good their content is. Like they're putting out great content. They deserve those brand partnerships. And yet it is so easy to be like, oh, I'll never be where they are. Oh, like I should just give up and not even post anymore because I don't get like the same amount of likes or comments or engagement as this person, right? So if you're someone trying to grow in this space, I feel like it is so important to stay in your own lane and like, do not compare yourself to another influencer or like even, I don't know. I feel like even at like the level we're at now, it's so easy to chase that next 100,000 or chase that next like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube or like 100 listeners on the podcast. And it's always like, I want more instead of looking at the community you're already building and actually like caring about them and taking care of them and responding to people. So I feel like having any sort of platform is a luxury. And by looking at other people and like not being appreciative of the community you already have is such a disservice to like you and your followers, I feel.
Yeah, that's so true. And I definitely can always tell when I'm starting to like waver into doing that, when I start focusing more on what everyone else is doing instead of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm like checking up on like what blah 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 is doing or how many videos they did or what kind of content they're making or what they got or whatever it might be. When I'm doing that, there's so much less focus on my purpose.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, the kind of impact that I want to make, the kind of content that I want to create and put out. And it's almost like having that tunnel vision for whatever it is that you're doing and your purpose and why you're here. Trust me, every time that I get into that space, I create more from the heart. I get things that I've been wanting. I manifest things into reality a lot quicker. And one example that I wanted to use from my own life that happened to me this week with comparison is I saw a influencer on social media post about this thing that happened for her that was really, really amazing. And my first thought was, oh my God, that's never going to happen for me. That can't happen for me. Mm-hmm. And instead, what I did, knowing what I know now about comparison and how powerful your words are, and if I say that that's never going to happen to me, it goes into my subconscious. My subconscious makes it into a reality. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So instead, what I said was, that is incredible for her. She is so deserving of that thing, and I'm so happy for her. And that can also happen for me too.
Yeah.
And I felt so much better. I believed it. I genuinely believed what I said, and I was so happy. And I sent out all the good vibes to this person because they were very deserving of the thing that happened.
I don't know why, but I feel like I know what you're talking about.
I know. I feel like you do too. I was just like, she's looking at me and she knows. And I know that this person is so deserving of that thing, and it can also happen for me too.
Yeah,
and that's really big. It can also happen for me too.
I feel like the energy you put out into the universe is the energy you attract back. And recently, I was talking to my mom last night about it because she went to this women's event, and that's very unlike her. And she told me how out of place she felt when she first got there, but how amazingly sweet all these women were. It was for breast cancer. It was like a lunch she did yesterday. And she was just talking to me about it. And I said, weirdly, since the Barbie movie, like I feel like that actually impacted me more than I realized it did. I have been more of a girl's girl. And I've been rooting for all the women around me, and I've been genuinely so proud of and happy for everything they're all accomplishing. When in the past, I was someone who saw a lot of things as that competition or as of, oh, they got it, so I never will, or, oh, they got it, so now I have to get it. Even if it's not something I want, I just viewed it as like a competition. And again, I think it was like something to do with being raised with three brothers, constantly all being like kind of pinned against each other with sports and
it's also just
awards and
like,
things.
like social conditioning. Like in every movie, show that we watched as children, the girls are always competing for attention, a guy, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So we take that, like we really do take that in and think that this is how it has to be. That's why you hear so many girls like, I can't find girlfriends. I can't, do this, because all of us have been programmed that it should be hard to find girlfriends and that, everyone's the enemy and like you got to watch your back for yourself. And it's like, really, if we all just cut the shit, it would be so much easier for us to just get along.
Exactly. And since I started wholeheartedly rooting for all the women around me, I'm also getting opportunities. And it's because when you put out a positive energy to anyone or anything, like it's going to come back to you. And I feel like when you're intentionally negative towards yourself or malicious towards someone else or whatever it is, it's like people can feel that energy. Like you kind of know those like pick me girls when they walk in the room and it's like, oh, they are not here out of like camaraderie for the woman here. They're here for the male gaze or for the attention or for the competition, right? Like you can sense that energy out of someone. And I feel like when you kind of switch gears into being like, I really just want everyone around me to be happy and flourish. And I also want to be happy and flourish. And it's okay that we can both do that.
And there's room. There's room for Kendall to succeed, and there's room for me to succeed. There's room for all of us to succeed in whatever it is that we want to do. And we don't have to be competitive around it, because the truth is when you work together and you are sending out that good message to each other, more things happen for both parties. Like it's good for everybody.
Like this, I feel like this podcast is an example of like Julia was going to make her own podcast. And like at the time we had kind of invited ourselves in and be like, we'll be your co-hosts. And now we've been doing it for so long, and it's opened a lot of doors from you for like these retreats coming up and for the community you're building and all of these like things that like, it's so impressive. And it also like opened the door of like starting my own YouTube myself. And it's like creating opportunities. And that's something you didn't need to do as a woman for like this woman, but you chose to. And now we're both able to grow with it and out of it and like have all of these cool women that like know who we are and listen to the podcast and all these things. So
yeah, it's like don't gatekeep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
agreed.
Like gatekeeping your I don't know, like your knowledge or your like, because that goes into the conditioning that it's competitive, that we like gatekeep all of these things and we think like we need to keep it over here because nobody can know our secrets because then they could be better than me, and we don't want that. We don't all want to be good. I can only be the good one. You know what I mean? It's like, no, just like,
or we could all just be
could all be great. Like, imagine if all of us were great like that and our most confident, most powerful selves. Like, that's truly what changes and impacts things is, everybody feeling that incredible, not people being like, competitive and
I
shit.
also feel like, just to kind of wrap things up, a reminder that typically whatever you're comparing yourself to, like whoever it is, their lifestyle, their friendships, their body, whatever it is, odds are they are comparing themselves to something about you as well. And it's important to remember that it is like a constant flow, and you have to try actively sometimes to stop those thoughts. Like you said, you kind of like realize you thought a certain way about something and you were like, oh wait, no, I know what that leads to. I can also get that thing. And I think it's just important to remember that like each of us are unique human beings, and we're not supposed to be able to see hundreds and thousands of women and people at our fingertips. Like social media is so new, and I feel like it can come with a lot of issues, but it all can also be beautiful. If you use it the right way, you audit your following the right way, you make sure the people that you're following are motivating you and not letting that tear you down as a human being, I feel like it can still be great. I feel like it's just how you use it. And you're always great at this with like going right to your own profile and not scrolling a lot. And also I'm one that like, I will unfollow all day. Like if I notice I am, and it's never anything against the person, but if I'm negatively comparing myself, it's time to unfollow that person or mute their stories or whatever it is so that I don't get to that negative place again.
Very true. And like I have also curated my feed to be like a bunch of women that are in the industry that like I've either like met in person or really admire and like know them genuinely, so that like whenever I do see them, that it's like I feel so good because I like,
again, you're just happy for them.
I'm happy for them, like no matter what. And then when I do have like comments on my reels or my photos and stuff, it's like from them, and they're always like so supportive, and I want to be that for them too. So yeah, just like curating your feed is really big too, to like how you want to feel, the kind of energy that you want to have when you do see stuff, because like it pops up without you, you know, sometimes without you wanting it to. It pops up right to the feed. So that's really, really big. But
anyway, just make sure you're not comparing yourself to anyone. Again, people and things can be inspiration without it having a lasting negative impact, or you telling yourself that you can't have what they have as well. Just like audit your own thoughts, and also audit like who you're following to and who you're paying attention to, because it really can impact your day-to-day life. And also like even outside of social media, if you notice there's just certain people that you're around that you compare yourself to in a negative light, it's just important to like address why. Like, what do they have that you feel like you can't have, and address like, why do you feel that way? You know?
That's the big question, is like, why are you feeling this way towards this person on social media or this person in your personal life? Because that will tell you a lot. It'll either tell you that there's something that they have that you want also, and that could be really eye-opening for you too. But then also there's those things where maybe you think that that's something that you want, but you're like not sure because it's like glamorized. You're like, do I want that too? Like, I don't really like, it looks cool, but really ask yourself why. And then also using like the phrases of, if they can, like I can also too.
Yes. You are all capable and you are all beautiful. So,
and powerful.
Quit comparing yourself, and powerful. Anyway, we love you all so much. And remember, you are more powerful than you think. Bye.
Bye.
Our byes